In this video, I'm going to give you my first impressions of the 2025 Honda CMX1100 Rebel SE. First up, let me just say, I rode last year's version of this bike and I really liked it and I didn't think I would. The riding position isn't overly aggressive, which makes it comfortable for a relaxed cruise, but it's also agile enough to ride faster when you're in the mood. The engine feels great, it's torquey, sounds great, and has absolutely enough power for me. And with the base price of this bike coming in at just under 10 grand, it's a very compelling offer for someone who wants a cool cruiser without spending tens of thousands. Before I dive into all the changes for this year, if you have any questions about the new Rebel, drop them in the comments below and I'll do my best to get them answered in the next video. I'm really keen to see how this bike compares to the 2024 bike. Oh, and I almost forgot, I've never ridden a dual clutch transmission bike, so this should be a really interesting test for me. Alright, here's the key changes to the CMX1100 Rebel this year. I'll also go over the differences between the base model and the SE here in a sec too. The 1084cc parallel twin cylinder engine gets more low and mid-range torque. This is achieved through a higher compression ratio and a few revised engine settings. The rider position has also been updated for more comfort. The handlebars are moved rearward and up, and the foot pegs are moved forward, and the seat is 10mm thicker. So the seat height now is 710mm. The DCT option has been refined with low running speed upgrades. It now features smoother starting and better control at very slow speeds, which is an improvement for things like U-turns. The old circular instrument display is replaced now with a 5-inch full-color TFT screen. This new display includes Honda Road Sync, smartphone connectivity, and a USB socket up here. The old one was under the seat. The base model is also available in a new color, Pearl Hawk's Eye Blue. Here's the upgrades to the SE over the standard model. Bar end mirrors, the standard model retains the conventional mirrors. Bodywork and styling. The SE features a colour-matched nose cowl, specially designed fork gaiters, and a short, sporty front mudguard. Seat. The SE comes with a stylish diamond-stitched seat. Radiator cover is also anodized. This one wasn't for some reason. I really like the look of last year's bike, and I also like this one a lot. The colour of this special edition is flare orange metallic, and it's lovely and works well with the gold wheels. Although I really like the look of the bike, the one thing I don't love is all those little plastic covers over everything. I am also very aware that this bike isn't a classic or even a modern classic, but probably closer to a retro bike. But I think our audience has an interest in this bike, so I'm doing a video on it anyway. If you don't know much about this bike, it's easy to put it in the same category as its smaller sibling, the CMX1100 Rebel, just with a bigger engine and a few more things here and there. I have ridden the CMX1100 Rebel and I'd say that bike is more of an entry-level bike, whereas this bike is a definite upgrade to that one and has so much more to offer for new riders and experienced riders alike. Before I rode this bike last year, I wasn't prepared for how well this bike rode and how much I liked it. I love the engine in the last bike, and this bike has all the same character traits as the one I rode last year, only better, it seems on paper. To really feel the difference, I'd have to ride the old one and the new one back to back. The engine pulls lovely through the rev range and has a gorgeous deep sound through that standard exhaust, which I would absolutely not change, by the way. I briefly tried all of the different riding modes today, but I mainly rode it in standard, which is a great do-it-all mode. In my opinion, you really need some fast roads to really open it up and enjoy the sport mode. When it comes to the gearbox, I'm a traditionalist at heart and have only ever ridden one proper automatic gearbox in my life, which was the BMW R1300 RTs. So I wanted to try out Honda's DCT to see what all the fuss was about, especially after spending time on the new BMW with its ASA gearbox. My first impression of the DCT is that the automatic feature is outstanding. It's incredibly good at selecting gears and anticipating what gear you want it to be in without ever feeling jerky or jolty when you're going through the changes. On the BMW, I found I had to ride it with quite a light touch when it was in auto, as if I had a pillion on the back to get the best out of it. Not so with the Honda, you can just twist and go. I also tried the manual gearbox using the trigger shifters on the left-hand side, which was a first for me. I did find myself forgetting which way I was up and which way I was down, and it was a bit confusing with the indicators and the horn on the same switchgear. It's clear that this would take some time to rewire my brain and get used to this new setup. I've also ridden and reviewed the 2025 Africa Twin Adventure Sports recently over on my second channel, which is called Motofilmer. Most people know this, but if you don't, the engine on the CMX1100 Rebel is taken from that Africa Twin model, but retuned for this chassis. If you're into off-road and adventure bikes, maybe you'll like that channel too, which is of a similar style to this one. On the suspension front, I have to say that I really like the setup on the previous CMX1100 Rebel, and it felt suited to the bike's character well, provided you took the time to dial it in. Same story here. A real bonus with this bike is you can adjust the preload on the forks as well as the shock, which is something you typically don't find on a bike in this category. For these initial impressions, I've been riding the bike with the stock preload settings to get a feel for how it performs straight out of the box. So far, it feels a little too soft for my liking, but the overall performance on rough and square edge bumps is definitely a strong point, and I haven't bottomed it yet. My plan is to get the sag checker on it and aim for a rider sag of about 30%, which is my usual starting point for this style of motorcycle, and then adjust it to my preference from there. I'm sure I'll be winding on a bit of preload both front and rear to get the bike to sit a bit higher in its travel. I use the front and back brakes on bikes all the time when I brake, and I can't remember the last modern bike I rode on this channel that didn't have great brakes for how I like to ride. Riding position and ergonomics. I've been riding some big bikes lately, and at the time of producing this video, I've also got a Harley Davidson Street Glide and a BMW R18B in the garage. And I've got to say, jumping on this bike after those really did make this one feel smaller. My legs don't quite fit in the cutouts in the tank, and the pegs just feel a touch small and a bit one position. For reference, I'm 6'1" with a 32-inch inseam and long arms and legs. The Harley and the Bieber have got footboards, and I really did feel like my size 12 boots were just a little bit exposed and hanging out either side on this bike. Position of the brake lever is a little high for my foot, so I'll be sorting that out, which I had to do on last year's bike. That's a quick fix. Reach on the bars is great on this bike, and it gives you loads of control with those wide handlebars. Seat was comfortable for the time that I spent on the bike, but I didn't do any long stints on the motorway, so only time will tell here. I spent a good amount of time clicking around the menus over the last couple of days, and I'll be honest, I don't feel like I completely understand it all just yet. It's a significant change from the old display, which after watching my last video, I was reminded of how much I really like the look of that. I'm going to be connecting my phone and attempting to get used to Honda's Road Sync, which I'm keen to see how it works. Okay, so that's it for now, my quick first impression. That's the things that stood out to me on my first couple of rides. Next step with this bike is to get it exactly set up for me. I'll be adjusting the levers and the pedal, and then using my sag checker to get a baseline for the suspension, and then I'll dial it in for my riding style from there. I'll also be putting the ride modes to the test and spending a lot more time with the trigger shifters to see if I can get my brain used to them. I'll also be testing out the new connectivity features. That's it. Thanks for watching.